Have you ever wondered what the price of greatness is? And more importantly, are you willing to pay it? This question echoes through the centuries, challenging those who dare to dream big. Today, we're diving deep into the depths of human ambition, exploring the delicate balance between pursuing our dreams and the risk of being consumed by them. Buckle up for a journey that will challenge your perceptions, question your motivations, and maybe even change the way you look at your own goals. We're going to explore the hidden dangers of unchecked ambition, the importance of balance in the pursuit of greatness, and how we can chase our dreams without losing ourselves in the process. Throughout this video, we'll discover how great thinkers and historical figures have grappled with this question. We'll see examples of success and failure and learn valuable lessons that we can apply to our own lives. But before we dive into these deep waters, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you were willing to sacrifice everything for a dream? Hold on to that answer, because we'll come back to it later. Our journey begins with a fascinating story that perfectly illustrates the power and danger of extreme ambition. It's the life of David Wark Griffith, a pioneer of American cinema. In the early 20th century, when cinema was still in its infancy, Griffith had an audacious dream to elevate cinema to the status of art. He wanted to create films that were more than mere entertainment, works that could rival literature and theater in terms of depth and emotional impact. Griffith dedicated himself tirelessly to this goal. He experimented with new filming techniques, developed the language of cinema, and created monumental works like The Birth of a Nation and Intolerance. His work revolutionized the film industry and established many of the conventions we still use today. However, Griffith's relentless pursuit of his artistic vision came at a cost. He became obsessed with his projects, often neglecting personal relationships and his own health. As his ambition grew, his films became increasingly grandiose and expensive, leading him into financial difficulties. But here's the crucial point in Griffith's story. Even when the industry began to change, when sound came to cinema and new filming styles emerged, he refused to adapt. Griffith was so committed to his original vision that he couldn't evolve with the times. The result? The man once hailed as the father of cinema ended up marginalized by the very industry he helped create. His later years were marked by failures, debts, and a sense of bitterness. Griffith's story leads us to a fundamental question. How far should we go in pursuing our dreams? Is there a limit to ambition? To answer these questions, we need to better understand the nature of ambition and its role in our lives. And for that, we're going to turn to some of history's greatest thinkers. Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, had a lot to say about the pursuit of excellence. He believed that each human being has a unique purpose, a specific function to fulfill. For Aristotle, true happiness comes from realizing that purpose to the best of our ability. But Aristotle also warned us about the dangers of excess. He proposed the idea of the golden mean, the virtue that lies between two extremes. Applying this concept to ambition, we could say that there's a balance to be struck between complacency and obsession. Now think for a moment. In your own life, where do you fall on this spectrum? Do you tend more towards complacency or obsession when it comes to your goals? This reflection leads us to a fascinating concept that Aristotle called eudaimonia. Unlike the modern notion of happiness, which is often associated with momentary pleasure or immediate satisfaction, eudaimonia refers to a life well lived, a life of virtue and excellence. For Aristotle, achieving eudaimonia isn't a matter of luck or circumstance, but the result of deliberate actions and habits cultivated over time. He argued that we should seek excellence in all areas of life, not just in our career or personal ambitions, but also in our relationships, our citizenship, and our personal development. This holistic view of excellence offers us a valuable perspective on ambition. It suggests that true greatness isn't about achieving a single grand goal, but about living a balanced and virtuous life in all aspects. But how can we apply this concept in a world that often seems to value success at any cost? How can we pursue excellence without falling into the trap of obsession? To explore these questions, let's fast forward a few centuries and examine the thinking of Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher known for his concept of the Übermensch, or Superman. Nietzsche saw life as a constant struggle for self-overcoming. He believed we should embrace challenges and difficulties as opportunities for growth. In his work, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche writes, "Man is a rope stretched between the animal and the superman, a rope over an abyss." This powerful metaphor suggests that we're in a constant state of transition, always striving to overcome our limitations and reach a higher state of being. For Nietzsche, greatness isn't a final destination, but an ongoing process of growth and self-overcoming. Nietzsche's philosophy can be seen as a call to ambition, an encouragement to seek greatness. But it also carries an implicit warning. The pursuit of self-overcoming can be lonely and painful. This leads us to an intriguing question. Does greatness necessarily require sacrifice? And if so, what kind of sacrifice is acceptable? These questions bring us back to the story of David Wark Griffith. In his relentless pursuit of cinematic excellence, Griffith certainly embraced the Nietzschean ideal of self-overcoming. He constantly challenged himself to create increasingly ambitious and innovative works. However, the price Griffith paid for his ambition was high. He sacrificed relationships, financial stability, and eventually his own relevance in the industry he helped create. His story serves as a powerful reminder that the pursuit of greatness, if not balanced, can lead to ruin. But is all sacrifice in the name of a dream negative? To explore this question, let's jump to the 20th century and consider the ideas of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. Frankl argued that human beings are fundamentally motivated by the search for meaning. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he writes, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." Frankl's perspective offers us a new way of thinking about ambition and sacrifice. Perhaps the question isn't how much we're willing to sacrifice, but why we're willing to do it. What's the greater meaning behind our goals? Frankl developed a therapeutic approach called logotherapy, based on the premise that the primary motivational force of human beings is to find meaning in life. He argued that even in the most extreme and inhumane circumstances, like those he experienced in Nazi concentration camps, it's possible to find meaning and through that, the strength to continue. This perspective offers us a valuable lens through which we can examine our own ambition and the sacrifices we're willing to make. If our actions are aligned with a greater purpose, with a deep sense of meaning, then the sacrifices we make can be seen not as losses, but as investments in something greater than ourselves. Now remember the question I asked at the beginning about being willing to sacrifice everything for a dream. Has your answer changed after considering these different philosophical perspectives? But our exploration wouldn't be complete without considering contemporary voices. Angela Duckworth, a psychologist and author of the book Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, argues that success isn't just a matter of talent, but of long-term persistence and passion. Duckworth reminds us that the path to greatness is rarely linear or easy. There will be obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. The real question is, are we willing to continue, even when the path ahead isn't clear? Duckworth's concept of grit offers an interesting perspective on ambition and the pursuit of greatness. She argues that long-term success isn't determined solely by talent or opportunities, but by the ability to maintain focus and effort over time, even in the face of adversity. This leads us to a crucial question. How can we cultivate this determination without falling into the trap of obsession? How can we maintain our passion and perseverance without losing sight of other important aspects of life? The answer may lie in a concept that has been gaining more and more attention in recent years: the growth mindset. Developed by psychologist Carol Dweck, this theory suggests that our abilities and intelligence aren't fixed, but can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. A growth mindset allows us to see challenges and failures not as indicators of our limitations, but as opportunities for learning and growth. This aligns perfectly with Nietzsche's idea of continuous self-overcoming, but with a more balanced and sustainable approach. Now let's pause for a moment and reflect on how these ideas apply to your own life. Think about a goal you've been pursuing. How have you been approaching the challenges and obstacles? Do you see them as insurmountable barriers or as opportunities for growth? This reflection brings us back to the story of David Wark Griffith. His mistake wasn't having ambition or pursuing a dream with passion. His mistake was losing perspective, letting his dream consume everything around him, including his ability to adapt and grow. And here's a surprising revelation. True greatness isn't about achieving a specific goal at all costs. It's about living a life guided by a greater purpose, a life that balances ambition with compassion, determination with flexibility. This idea brings us to the concept of ikigai, a Japanese word that has no direct translation, but refers to a person's reason for being, that which makes them want to get up every morning. Ikigai lies at the intersection of four elements: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. The concept of ikigai offers us a framework for thinking about ambition and purpose in a more holistic way. It suggests that true fulfillment comes not just from pursuing our goals, but from doing so in a way that aligns with our passions, talents, and values, and also contributes to the greater good. So, how can we apply these lessons in our own lives? How can we pursue greatness without losing ourselves in the process? First, we need to clearly define what greatness means to us. It's not just about external success or recognition, but about living according to our deepest values. Second, we should be willing to make sacrifices, but not to sacrifice everything. Relationships, health, integrity, these are the things that give meaning to our journey. Without them, any achievement becomes empty. Third, we need to cultivate resilience. The ability to get up after falls, to learn from failures, is fundamental to any journey towards greatness. Fourth, we should keep an open mind and be willing to adapt our methods, even if our ultimate goal remains the same. Flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we should regularly pause to reflect. Are we still on the right path? Are our actions aligned with our values? Is the price we're paying worth it? These reflections lead us to a deeper understanding of what it really means to pursue greatness. It's not about achieving a specific goal or outperforming others. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves, positively contributing to the world around us in the process. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus once said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man." This quote reminds us that change is constant both in us and in the world around us. True greatness, therefore, isn't about reaching a final state of perfection, but about embracing the ongoing process of growth and adaptation. Now we've reached the crucial point of our journey. The question we asked at the beginning, "Are you willing to pay the price of greatness?" takes on a new meaning. The true price of greatness isn't measured in money, time, or even personal sacrifice. It's measured in integrity, in balance, in a life lived with purpose and meaning. Greatness isn't about dying in pursuit of a dream, but about living in a way that honors that dream. It's about creating a life that is in itself a masterpiece. Psychologist Abraham Maslow, known for his hierarchy of needs theory, spoke about self-actualization as the highest level of human development. For Maslow, self-actualized people are those who are fulfilling their potential, living authentically, and contributing to the world in meaningful ways. Maslow observed that these people shared certain characteristics. They were creative, had a strong sense of ethics, were able to see beauty in the simple things in life, and had a sense of purpose that went beyond their immediate needs. This vision of greatness, not as a final destination but as a way of being, offers us a powerful perspective. It suggests that true greatness isn't something we achieve once and for all, but something we live day by day, choice by choice. So I ask again, are you willing to pay the price of greatness? Are you willing to face the challenges, to persist in the face of adversity, to maintain balance when everything around you seems chaotic? Are you willing to live a life guided by a greater purpose, a life that inspires others and leaves a positive legacy? If the answer is yes, then you've already taken the first step on an extraordinary journey. A journey that doesn't promise to be easy, but that has the potential to be incredibly rewarding. Remember, life without purpose can be empty, but purpose without balance can lead to ruin. True greatness lies in finding balance, in living a life that is both meaningful and sustainable. The philosopher and writer Albert Camus once said, "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. This quote reminds us that greatness isn't just in the final result, but in the process, in the journey itself. As you leave this video and return to your daily life, I challenge you to reflect on your own ambitions. What are your dreams? What are you willing to sacrifice for them? And most importantly, how can you pursue them in a way that enriches not only your life, but also the lives of those around you? The journey towards greatness is long and often uncertain. But with clarity of purpose, resilience, and a commitment to balance, it's a journey worth undertaking. So I ask one last time, are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you ready to discover your own definition of greatness and live it fully? The choice, as always, is yours. But remember, true greatness isn't in the destination, but in the journey. It's not about achieving a specific goal, but about who you become along the way. As the poet Constantine P. Cavafy wrote in his poem Ithaca, "As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. But don't hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years so you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvelous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. And if you find her poor, Ithaca won't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you'll have understood by then what these Ithacas mean." This poem perfectly captures the essence of what we're discussing. Greatness, like Ithaca, isn't just a destination but a journey. It's in the process of pursuing our goals that we find true growth and fulfillment. Now let's explore more deeply how we can apply these principles in our everyday lives. How can we pursue greatness in a sustainable and meaningful way? One powerful approach is the concept of kaizen, a Japanese word meaning continuous improvement. This philosophy suggests that instead of seeking dramatic and sudden changes, we should focus on small, consistent improvements over time. Imagine for a moment that you're trying to become a great writer. Instead of trying to write an entire novel in a month, you could commit to writing 500 words a day. It might not seem like much, but over a year, that would add up to more than 180,000 words, equivalent to 2 novels. This approach not only makes the process more manageable, but also allows us to develop sustainable habits that can last a lifetime. It's a way of pursuing greatness without sacrificing our well-being or balance. But what about moments of doubt? What about when we face obstacles that seem insurmountable? This is where the concept of anti-fragility, coined by philosopher and statistician Nassim Nicholas Taleb, comes in. Something anti-fragile doesn't just resist shocks and stresses, but actually benefits from them becoming stronger. Taleb argues that instead of trying to avoid all risks and difficulties, we should strive to become anti-fragile, capable of using challenges as opportunities for growth and strengthening. Think about how this applies to the pursuit of greatness. Instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, we can view them as opportunities for learning and growth. Each challenge overcome makes us stronger, more resilient, and ultimately closer to our most grand version of ourselves. But how can we cultivate this anti-fragile mindset? How can we learn to embrace challenges instead of fearing them? One powerful technique is what psychologists call reframing. This involves consciously changing the way we think about a situation. For example, instead of thinking, "This obstacle is hindering my progress," we could think, "This obstacle is giving me the opportunity to develop new skills and strategies." The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By changing our opinions, our perspective, we can transform challenges into opportunities. Now let's pause for a moment. Think about a challenge you're currently facing in your pursuit of greatness. How could you reframe this challenge in a more positive and constructive way? This practice of reframing not only helps us deal better with challenges, but also allows us to keep focus on what really matters, our continuous growth and development. But what about the fear of failure? This fear can often prevent us from pursuing greatness, from taking that leap towards our dreams. Psychologist Carol Dweck, in her research on growth mindset, found that people who view failure as a learning opportunity rather than a reflection of their innate abilities, tend to be more resilient and successful in the long run. This perspective reminds us that failure isn't the opposite of success, but an integral part of the process. Thomas Edison, when asked about his many failed attempts to create the electric light bulb, said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This attitude towards failure is crucial for anyone pursuing greatness. It allows us to take calculated risks, experiment with new approaches, and most importantly, keep moving forward even when things don't go as planned. But how can we cultivate this attitude in our own lives? How can we learn to embrace failure as part of the process? One powerful technique is what psychologists call after-action review. After each attempt, whether successful or not, take time to reflect on what happened. What worked well? What could be improved? What lessons can be learned? This practice not only helps us extract value from every experience, but also keeps us focused on the process of learning and growth rather than fixating on specific outcomes. Now, as we approach the end of our exploration, it's important to remember that the pursuit of greatness isn't a solitary path. In fact, it's often through our connections with others that we find our greatest strength and inspiration. Anthropologist Margaret Mead once said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." This quote reminds us that true greatness often manifests not just in our individual achievements, but in our impact on others and on the world around us. So as you continue your journey in pursuit of greatness, I encourage you to consider not just what you can achieve, but how you can inspire and elevate those around you. How can you use your talents and passions to make a positive difference in the world? Remember, true greatness isn't just about how high you can climb, but how many people you can lift up with you. And so, we come to the end of our journey today. We've explored the concept of greatness from various perspectives: philosophical, psychological, and practical. We've seen that true greatness isn't a final destination, but an ongoing process of growth, learning, and positive impact. So I ask one last time, are you ready to embrace your journey towards greatness? Are you willing to face the challenges, learn from failures, and keep moving forward even when the path ahead isn't clear? Remember, the price of greatness isn't measured in money or fame, but in courage, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to your higher purpose. The choice is yours. But know that regardless of the path you choose, every step you take towards your dreams, every obstacle you overcome, every lesson you learn, makes you stronger, wiser, and closer to your most grand version of yourself. As the poet Robert Browning wrote, "Ah, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for?" So reach beyond your grasp, dream big, persist, and always remember, true greatness isn't in the destination, but in the journey. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. Until next time, where we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of the human condition and seek wisdom in the words of great thinkers, past and present.